Alright, so I've begun arranging the Final Fantasy album, MOG'S Mixtape Final Fantasy Remixed, and I'm really enjoying it. We've got about 12 tracks right now. This is the very early stages. It's super exciting. I'm just trying to figure out if I can find any tracks that are quote-unquote anchor tracks, which are the beginning and end for each disc, because I'm planning on doing 2 discs for this album, since it's probably going to be around 34 tracks. So I think I found my first track for the album, which is really exciting. I heard a mix from Terra, C Music, and if it makes it to be first track, I'm going to include this video. So I just got to hear a little bit more. Actually, I heard the whole work in progress for One Winged Angel by Swiggles RP, and it's sounding fantastic. I really like the direction he's taken with this track. And I just heard AJ Clapperall's track, which is something unlike anything I've heard from him before. So now I'm starting to think that these 2 discs that I've planned on having, one is going to have to be more kind of like lighthearted and one's going to be darker. Because we've got, it's very difficult when you have songs that are as strong and is like the mood, the tone is so different from everything else, you know, especially with One Winged Angel, it's just intense. You really can't put that next to something like, I don't know, breezy or whatever it might be. So a lot of times if you're trying to take this journey, which is what I like to do, you know, you've got to ease your way into these certain moods. Kind of like you start off at one place, you end at one place. And I've got my beginning track and I got my ending track, but I've got to figure out everything else in the middle. So this is the hardest part and the most fun part, but I'm definitely thinking we start out lighter tone and we move towards heavier tone. So we'll see if that's what happens.
Alright, so I kind of came up with an idea for disc 1 that I wanted to vlog about, I guess. And the idea is basically to have the more serene track kind of interrupted by battle tracks. So you're kind of, my idea being that you're walking through a forest or walking around a more peaceful area, and then every once in a while there'll be a battle track in there just to keep the tension going, keep it interesting.
So I got an idea I think I wanted to share. And the idea is having these 2 discs, right, which I've mentioned before, but one of the discs is kind of a triumphant journey, where the second disc is not. It's that's the story that I think I'm going to try and tell with this album, is that one disc, the heroes succeed, and one disc, they fail. And so all the songs that are chosen for each disc kind of reflect that, especially the ending, because I'm thinking right now the ending of the disc 2 and the whole album will be the Game Over theme by my new soundtrack, which is fitting if I'm saying that the heroes don't succeed. So, I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting. We'll see if it works. One other really funny side thing, so Swiggles RP, who's doing One Winged Angel, and I have been going back and forth on the song. Today is the day that tracks are due. And there's just this 10-second part at the beginning of the song that we have done, I think he's done it around 6 or 7 times re-rendering it, because every time it exports, there's a glitch with the guitars. Like, the guitars are off by just a hair. So he's fixed it, I think, 3, 4, 5 times with the guitars. And now the guitars are perfect, but the drums are off. So, yeah, I think he's probably pretty frustrated with me right now, but we're trying to make sure that this track is perfect, because it's a killer track, and I hope that you all enjoy it, and I hope that we're able to fix it by the time it gets on the album, and it's perfect. So I've been working some more on the arrangements, trying to get the discs separated and try and figure out the feel for each disc. And as I mentioned, one disc is kind of heroic and triumphant, and the other one not so much. But one thing that I like a lot right now is that I have 16 of Mono's tracks, kind of the villain tracks of the first disc. I don't know how to describe it any other way, where he kind of leads in the album and then he kind of closes the album. And to me, somehow that's the story that I'm telling, is that his tracks are kind of like the main villain, and then they of course defeat him in the end, which is why it has like a better resolution than disc 2 does. Other than that, we've got 30 tracks. 2 tracks are still on their way. But I think it's really nice because we have 16 tracks in each disc. From what I've been able to tell, the 2 tracks that I have not yet received are going to be disc 1 tracks. So that means I can pretty much arrange disc 2 completely. And right now I think I have the discs separated the way I want them, like the tracks separated in each disc. So from here on in, it's basically just trying to arrange it, making sure each transition works. And, you know, I think that, I think that with this many songs, the approach of having 2 discs is really, really going to work, because if anything, it's designed so that the listener has a natural breaking point. You know, I know 2 hours is a lot of time to spend listening to an album. So if you have something to do, or you listen to the first half, you get kind of a complete experience, and then you can come back and listen to the second half of the album. So I'm glad that I made that decision, and I think it's going to work out well.
So, another update. I've got the second disc completely arranged, I think. Minus maybe 1 or 2 tracks shifting from one space to another. Disc 1, it's a little tricky. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to fit those moods in together. But I've definitely got the first 3 tracks and the last 3 tracks figured out. I'm trying to figure out everything in the middle. And disc 2, I'm really surprised with... it's something different, which I normally don't do, which is having genres a little bit more separated. There's a, more of like a metal rock section and an electronic, then kind of the sad, dark section. So the basically 3 moods on disc 2 is what I would say. And that's not usually how I arrange. I usually try and vary it up a little bit so I don't have all the same genre tracks together. But it seems to work for disc 2, so I'm going to stick with it.
Alright, so I'm actually working on the teaser right now, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a quick update as far as the album goes, because Disc 2 is completely done, as I mentioned, and Disc 1 is really close to being done. I think that it's maybe 1 or 2 song tweaks away from being done. And you already know Disc 2's journey. Disc 1, I see it kind of as like maybe like Fable or something, where you have this story set up, there's some kind of evil introduced, then you go to a more pastoral setting, which is tracks 3 and 4 currently, and then the story kind of progresses from there with intermittent battles as they get closer and closer to their final goal, which is defeating Brandon 16 to mono. I really like the fact that he's kind of like the villain of disc 1. So yeah, it's just neat to try and arrange this story. And like I said, to me, a lot of times, with video games, honestly, I've never played Final Fantasy, so I'm not sure if this is accurate. But with games like Twilight Princess, right? You're introduced to an evil, and then you meet your hero. And the hero is usually in a much nicer setting than whatever bad stuff's going on. So that's kind of the story that I'm trying to tell with Disc 1. As we go from the evil back to pastoral setting, and then their journey takes them from there. Well, I'm sharing some of my arranging hardships. I've been trying to place Stephen Morris's track, and it's a treble track. There's always one track every album that I just cannot seem to place until it finally clicks, and this is his track. But the problem is, I've kind of arranged the rest of disc 1, so there's really only 4 or 5 places he could go. So I'm gonna have to think outside the box on this one. Well, I did it. I finally was able to arrange disc 1, and it was tough. Like I said, every album there seems to be just that one track that can't go anywhere, and once that's in place, everything else kind of fits around it. So for this album, it was Theme of Love by Stephen Morris, and it has nothing to do with the track usually. I remember for Supersonic, MPC's track was what was giving me trouble. It's always some random track. I think for Verses, it was Rashadi B's cover. But in any case, I really like the story that I'm telling with both discs, and I think for the album description, and when I do press releases and whatnot, I'm going to really highlight that these are 2 very separate, very different musical journeys, and I hope that they're both enjoyable, but for different reasons. So, that being said, I don't know. I might have a few more update videos about just general arrangement ideas, but the actual arrangement of this album, I think, is done. Whew, I'm so relieved.